Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some exciting international and domestic headlines. First up, President Donald Trump met with Germany's new Chancellor Friedrich Merz at the White House, where they discussed critical issues like Ukraine, NATO defense spending, and trade relations. Trump praised Merz, aiming to strengthen U.S.-Germany ties, while Merz committed to boosting Germany's defense budget and supporting Ukraine. They emphasized unity among Western allies amid ongoing tensions with Russia, and talked about trade tensions and Germany's plans to meet NATO's defense spending targets. It's all about building stronger bonds and facing global challenges together. Next, in the U.S., Florida's political landscape is shifting. Former Republican Congressman David Jolly, who opposed Trump, has announced his run for governor as a Democrat in 2026. His party switch mirrors the broader political realignment happening across the country, with some longtime Republicans switching sides to oppose the current GOP. Despite Florida's conservative leanings, this move highlights ongoing shifts in political loyalties and strategies, making the upcoming election even more interesting to watch. Finally, a dramatic weekend unfolded with Elon Musk's Doge taking control of the U.S. Institute of Peace in a swift and controversial move. The organization, established by Congress to promote global peace, was seized, with leadership replaced and assets transferred within a weekend. Legal battles erupted, clarifying that the institute is not part of the federal government, but the damage to its operations and international peace efforts is significant. This event serves as a stark reminder of how rapid government actions can impact organizations vital to global stability. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed insights. The Washington Post reports that President Donald Trump and Germany's new Chancellor Friedrich Merz convened at the White House to address critical issues such as Ukraine, NATO defense spending, and trade tensions. Trump, emphasizing his electoral mandate, praised Merz as a formidable representative of Germany, despite acknowledging his difficult nature, which he considers a positive trait. Merz, a conservative with a substantial business background, expressed his desire to strengthen Germany's military and maintain unwavering support for Ukraine, advocating for increased defense spending and unity within Western allies. The discussions also touched on trade, with Merz calling for the removal of tariffs harming economic growth, and on the sensitive topic of democratic backsliding in Germany, highlighting the delicate diplomatic balancing act between the two leaders. NBC News details the political journey of David Jolly, a former Republican congressman who left the GOP over his opposition to Donald Trump and recently switched to the Democratic Party. Jolly announced his candidacy for governor of Florida in 2026, marking the first high-profile Democratic bid for the state's top office in years, amid a broader shift in Florida's political landscape toward the right. Despite the daunting challenge for Democrats to reclaim the governorship in a state that has trended red, Jolly's move reflects a growing trend of former Republicans seeking less radical political homes within the Democratic Party. The article underscores the volatility of party allegiance, noting recent defections and the evolving political identity of key figures, illustrating a broader realignment in American politics. Reuters reports that President Trump expressed disappointment with Elon Musk after the Tesla CEO publicly criticized a recent Republican spending bill, which proposed eliminating consumer tax credits for electric vehicles. Trump, who has previously supported Musk's ventures, claimed he was very disappointed and questioned whether their relationship could continue, citing Musk's opposition to the bill as motivated by fiscal concerns. Musk, meanwhile, publicly praised the bill, calling it the Big Beautiful Bill Act, and reaffirmed his support through social media. The conflict highlights the complex relationship between Trump and Musk, especially as Musk has been a major donor and supporter of Republican candidates, yet now publicly diverging over policy disagreements that could influence Tesla's business interests and the broader political landscape. The Deutsche Welle reports on the diplomatic engagement between Germany and the United States, highlighting Chancellor Friedrich Merz's visit to Washington and his meetings with President Donald Trump. The articles depict a cordial yet strategic tone, with Trump expressing optimism about the relationship, emphasizing trade agreements, and acknowledging Merz as a strong representative of Germany. Merz, meanwhile, aims to bolster cooperation on critical issues such as Ukraine, NATO, and trade, while also addressing Germany's military readiness and domestic policies. The discussions are set against a backdrop of complex geopolitical tensions, including the war in Ukraine and trade disputes, with both leaders recognizing the importance of maintaining a positive alliance despite potential disagreements. The RFI coverage underscores the strained relations between Africa and the U.S., focusing on President Trump's recent travel ban targeting 7 African nations, which has sparked widespread criticism from the African Union. The AU condemns the restrictive measures, warning of their detrimental effects on diplomatic, educational, and economic ties. Trump justifies the ban by citing security concerns related to terrorism and visa overstays, particularly referencing recent terror incidents. The article also details ongoing U.S. military actions in Somalia and the broader tensions over tariffs and tariffs-related policies that have affected African economies, illustrating a pattern of fluctuating diplomacy and economic measures that threaten to undermine long-standing partnerships. The South China Morning Post discusses the EU's cautious stance toward China amid its rapid economic ascent, warning that China's rise should not threaten European industries. EU Trade Chief Maros Sefcovic calls for China to respect fair trade rules and address systemic issues such as export restrictions on rare earth minerals, which are vital for European manufacturing. The article highlights ongoing concerns about trade diversion and market access, especially in light of U.S. tariffs and China's retaliatory export controls. European officials emphasize the need for structural reforms in China's economy and greater transparency, warning that unresolved trade tensions could destabilize the global economic order. Meanwhile, European industries seek protection against cheap imports from China and India, reflecting broader anxieties about maintaining competitiveness in an increasingly complex global trade environment. The Nikkei Asia vividly depicts the chaos and competition among three U.S. negotiators, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, whose conflicting stances and rivalries have rendered tariff talks with Japan highly unpredictable. Their open disagreements, sometimes even debating in front of Japanese officials, have caused confusion about the Trump administration's true intentions. Bessent's market-conscious moderation, Lutnick's unwavering hardline stance, and Greer's somewhat diminished role create a tangled web of overlapping responsibilities, complicating negotiations and leaving Tokyo uncertain about what concessions might be necessary. The disjointed communication between different levels of U.S. officials, coupled with Trump's final say on tariffs, further clouds the path forward, contrasting sharply with Japan's more centralized and coordinated approach to diplomacy. The story emphasizes that the future of these negotiations hinges on the unpredictable whims of Trump's inner circle, making a clear resolution elusive. Foreign policy offers a nuanced portrait of South Korea's new president, Lee Jae-myung, whose election marks a potential shift in the country's foreign policy landscape. While some analysts speculate that Lee might pivot away from his predecessor's conservative stance, favoring a more balanced approach between the U.S. and China, and possibly weakening ties with Japan, the reality is that South Korea's foreign policy has historically been resilient and pragmatic, regardless of party lines. Lee's commitment to maintaining the U.S.-South Korea alliance remains unwavering, especially given the critical importance of economic ties and the ongoing security challenges posed by North Korea. His pragmatic approach suggests a careful balancing act, supporting U.S. interests, especially in trade and military cooperation, while cautiously engaging with China and Japan. Despite early predictions of a softening stance, Lee's policies are likely to reflect continuity, blending past liberal and conservative strategies into a stable, pragmatic foreign policy framework. The Toronto Star critically examines Canada's ambitious nation-building efforts under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Premiers, highlighting a troubling lack of a comprehensive vision that addresses social, educational, and health needs. While the government has rallied around economic resilience, focusing on energy independence, housing, and defiance against Trump's tariffs, the narrative neglects the core values that define Canadian identity: social medicine, progressive labor relations, public ownership, and social supports like child care and universal health care. The story warns that an overemphasis on export markets and resource exploitation risks turning Canada into a mere economic appendage of the U.S., undermining its social fabric. It advocates for a renewed national vision rooted in shared human needs and values, emphasizing that Canada's strength lies not just in economic resilience but in investing in its people and social infrastructure, areas that must take precedence over corporate interests and trade-centric priorities. The Toronto Star vividly recounts the dramatic and tumultuous takeover of the U.S. Institute of Peace by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, a swift and ruthless operation that saw the organization's leadership ousted, its headquarters seized, and nearly all 300 employees dismissed within a matter of days, leaving behind chaos, damaged international partnerships, and shattered morale. Despite a court victory that temporarily restored the Institute's board and headquarters, the legal battle continues, and the Institute faces substantial hurdles in fully recovering from the rapid, disruptive assault, highlighting a cautionary tale for other federal agencies targeted by similar tactics. The Washington Post details the case's legal intricacies, revealing how the government argued the institute was part of the executive branch and thus subject to presidential authority, whereas the court ruled that Congress intended the organization to operate independently, emphasizing the fragile balance between political control and institutional independence. Meanwhile, the Associated Press emphasizes the human toll, with employees losing vital benefits, international partners left in limbo, and ongoing efforts to restore operations amid damaged infrastructure and funding complications, illustrating the profound and lasting impact of this unprecedented and aggressive corporate-style takeover on America's efforts to promote peace and stability worldwide. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.